Hey everyone, Dash Attack here. How's it going? Today we have a very special guest, a game developer whose game looks really cool. He's a like-minded individual, and I just want to give a round of applause for Dark Roads Games.
Hey, how are you doing?
All right, thank you so much for coming on. So yeah, I
My
saw you
pleasure.
on X. I found you. I see like we have a couple of mutuals, and I checked out your game on Steam, which I should probably pull up. Uh, Hang on one second. Oh, here it is. It came right up. Nice. All right, I'll get that. Here we
Yep,
go. Yeah,
that's it.
yeah. So it's a choose your own adventure RPG, text based from the looks of it, with a very like kind of like 80s Dungeons and Dragons type of feel.
Yeah, it's text based, but it's also very visual. So it's kind of like a graphic novel blended with a traditional choose your own adventure style, interactive fiction game. So it's tries to be visually appealing, but it is definitely a story that you can kind of dive into. Um, but another thing that's kind of unusual about it is that it comes with a lot of interactive RPG features that aren't really found in most choose your own adventure games. So, in addition to just having the story that you can get into, it's also got turn-based combat and like a looting and inventory system, and even a follower system, customizable housing, stuff like that. So,
Oh,
it tries to be to give you a lot more feedback and control and immersion than just sort of choosing your own choices in the adventure.
no, that all sounds great. It's like really blending like, like video game RPGs with like, text based choose your own adventure.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I say a lot. Is it's a blend of a visual novel and a traditional CPRG.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to play. Yes. Oh, is there anything else you want to say like about the game?
Oh yeah, I mean I'll go all day if you don't stop me. Um, but it's one thing. I guess where it all begins with is that it is inspired by very old school, traditional, gritty, heroic fiction. So this is my sort of attempt to jump into the realm of Conan the Barbarian, Drust the Legend. I wouldn't compare myself with those authors, of course, because they're the greats, but this is deeply inspired by that kind of fiction. Gritty, in your face, no holds barred, just very sometimes dark, but very low fantasy, realistic fantasy, and heroic and masculine. Just sort of a masculine
Yeah.
adventure story, the kind that we don't really get that much anymore. If you like traditional masculine heroic adventures, you're generally reading novels that were written anywhere from 50 years ago to 100 years ago. So I'm trying to make something new, but of course in the modern era, it seemed like the perfect thing to do rather than sit down and try to write a
Yeah,
novel. Make something that players can actually interact with and get immersed in even more than if you were just sitting on in your recliner reading a great Conan story or whatever.
yeah, there's definitely a starving market for like for dark fantasy, and particularly like
Yeah.
old school dark fantasy that like kind of like shies away from like modern fantasy tropes.
Yeah, but also not necessarily like very dark, not grim dark or whatever, because there is a lot of that, and I like that. But there's that particular what I like to call, all these terms are kind of interchangeable, but I like to call it heroic fiction, which is that the world itself is generally pretty dark and unforgiving, and there's a certain visceral brutality to the world. But at the same time, it's not sort of relishing in the gore and the misery or whatever. You're working towards saving the person, or achieving greatness, or honor, or defending the nation, whatever the things you're doing. You have a purpose, and it's more than just surviving in a sort of a miserable existence or whatever some of the really grim dark stuff gets into.
Oh
So
yeah. So like yeah, so like there's a bit of hope. Like there's a
yeah.
bit of like I'm down for that. I'm down for that. That sounds great. I think a lot of people would be okay. This got lore rich, gravity style, turn-based strategy and combat, replayability. Yeah, this looks like it'll be very replayable. Like
Oh, extremely. One of the things that I'm most excited about in the game is that the choices and consequences that I'm trying to present I'm trying to basically set a new standard for, choices matter. Um, if you're playing a game like I don't know, Skyrim or something like that, which I love, and I've played, the heck out of that game over the last decade. But you have a choice. It's relatively superficial. Like, um, kill somebody and get a payday, or spare them and they're going to give you a staff. Okay, great. And that's your choice. You get the result immediately, and if you don't like the result, or the staff's not as good as you thought, then you reload a save and kill them and take the payday, or whatever it is you're doing. But what I wanted to do was create something that was a little bit more realistic, in that a lot of times the consequences for your choices aren't immediately clear, maybe never clear, depending on what you do. So, for example, let's say that you encounter a bandit on the road, and or that you've been sent to go to clear a bandit, that's hunt down a fugitive bandit, and you have a choice, of course, to kill him and get your payday, or he begs for his life. And if you let him go, that's the end of it. There is no alternative thing in that you get. But the game behind the scenes continues to live out this guy's life and say, okay, what happened to this gentleman once you decided to let him live? Well, I'll have written a variety of different options that are then randomly selected. So could become a merchant in a faraway town. He could end up joining the military. He could end up continuing to be a bandit and take over and be the leader of a bandit gang. So then you continue on your game separately, and then you have an opportunity to encounter him again later, depending on if your choices send you to the same places that he was randomly placed in. So if you go to that town where he's a merchant, then all of a sudden he's like, wow, you saved my life, let me give you some good deals, or let me pull out this special sword from the back that I've been saving. But if you never choose to go to that town, you'll never find out that what happened. Or or if you take um, another bounty to clear a stronghold of bandits, and now he's the leader of that stronghold, and you get in over your head, perhaps he spares your life. Or it could be as simple as you come across a battlefield, and there's a marker that describes a heroic failed charge where he died, and you recognize the name. So all these different things are always happening. So not only is it replayable in terms of you have a lot of different choices, but there is also the goal, and it's sort of counterintuitive, but the goal is to have random consequences that are all impactful and meaningful. So it's when I a lot of people don't like random. When you say the word random, it's like, well, I want to know that I'm having a good impact on what I'm doing, and I don't want to feel like the game is jerking me around, right? And but what we want to do is we want to blend giving you a choice with the natural randomness that is in life, sort of, so that there's these layers. So when you play the game, you'll have different choices than you did the first time, and those choices can lead to different consequences than they did this first time. So it's unlikely you would be faced with the same pathway or the same choices, but even if you did, you would immediately come into a different reality, let's say, where new consequences are happening. So it's a lot of work, and some people would say maybe it's a little too much work because not every player will get to see everything. So it feels like a waste when you say, okay, you've written 3 or 4 different conclusions for a NPC based on your interaction. Well, the player's only going to get to see one of those 4, and so that is a lot of extra work
Yeah,
in a
that
way.
seems like a lot of writing that goes like beyond what like most of this genre
Yes,
does. So how big is the team?
it's just me. It's
It's
just me.
just
Yep.
oh wow, like no assistant writer, no.
No, writing is was my main career in life, and it was my first passion. And so this project has been in the works for quite a while. The really the writing was the first thing, and it's not completely done, but the writing was the first thing to happen. And then the second thing I started doing was trying to work on the coding and everything like that to make it functional. And the art is sort of catching up last. And the reason that the art was catching up last is because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it myself or hire someone to do it, because I'm very much an amateur artist. I thought for a long time about trying to hire somebody, but I couldn't find somebody that could do it kind of the way I wanted it done. And a lot of people were I would say too good. So because if you're writing if you're drawing a lot of different it's like a comic book, right? You can't spend 8 hours on every single individual image in a comic book, or it would take a decade to write the comic book. So yeah, there's a kind of a thin line between putting enough effort into the images and then also going, okay, that's good enough, on to the next one. And eventually I just decided to do it myself, and I thought, gosh, I hope I'm good enough to do it. But so far people have been very generous with their feedback on the art.
Now the art looks good. It looks stylized, like unique.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can see this. I mean, now when I was seeing your game reminded me of a similar game, like maybe not as ambitious of a game, but so I'm going to pull that game up right here so we can talk about it.
All right.
Now, you said off stream that you've played this game.
Yes, I have played it. I did not finish it because, as you can imagine, with my projects and stuff, I don't have a lot of time to finish games. But I like to play them. I like to get into them, and then just try to learn something from them, and just try to get a feel for what's out there. And I love this game. It made it to my list of to pick back up and finish one day. So that says
Yeah,
a lot.
I definitely need to play this for the channel at some point, even though I've done a bunch of the routes. I did very good in the I don't know, the judge not the judge route. I forget what the middle route is called. Ugh.
Isn't the game divided up into sort of like chapters or sections
Yeah,
or
oh
something like
yeah,
that?
like there's
Yeah.
chapters, but
And
like
how many chapters long is it? Do you know?
I believe it's 4 chapters.
Okay, I only ever completed, I think, the second chapter, so I made it about halfway through the game.
Well, did you get to the college portion?
Yes.
Yeah, so like, after the college portion, you make a big choice that like will determine all of chapter 3.
Okay.
Like you either become a noble, like you were
Okay.
supposed to, or
Right.
you join like this religious order,
Yeah.
or you become a rebel to try and change the system.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to spoil too much, but isn't there sort of there's sort of like uh, students protesting versus government lockdown sort of scene
Yeah,
in the
that's
second
the
chapter, and that sort of sets up that big choice, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
the catalyst
yeah,
for
I
that
played it.
choice.
I played it basically to that point and saw that and got to that next big choice and thought, okay,
Well,
well,
that's the biggest choice. That's
yeah,
one of the big.
yeah. But I just didn't. I saw that choice and I was like, "This is great," and I was like, "I need to not get too invested in this because I got things I got to do." So it's like, "All right, I'm going to play this later and
Yeah, so
dive into it." Again.
I mostly played the noble route a
Hmm.
bunch of times because like I wanted to I forget like what my goals were, but like my thing was to make sure like the family was good and to
Yeah,
save the mother.
yeah,
And like sometimes you have to like
yeah.
keep everyone's relationship. You have to like balance your funds, and
They
then like if you
definitely.
piss off the
Yep.
nobility will have you killed.
Yes, yeah. Did you were you collecting a lot of deaths? Because one thing that was interesting in this game, I've
Oh,
not seen
there
in
is
other games, is
tons of deaths.
you get these you get a death, but then that's not death. You get these like fake deaths, and then like if you die
Yeah, you
too many
get
times,
three.
you get a permanent death or something.
Yeah, everyone
So
in this. Well, yeah,
I didn't
everyone in this world gets 3 lives.
I didn't know how wary I should be of collecting these little deaths, so I never got any. Though I was
Well,
so careful. I played it like a total scaredy cat. I never got
sometimes
one death.
sometime experiencing death will open up choices for you. If
Oh,
you
okay,
had
that's interesting.
experienced death once before,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
but
looking forward to playing it again.
oftentimes you want to pick the choice that's going to avoid you getting killed,
Right.
right? And I
That
think
you would
if you
think
die,
instinctively, yeah, death is bad usually.
I think if you die in the fourth chapter, that's it. Like,
Okay.
like it counts as like 3 deaths.
Yeah.
So either way,
Well, this game, I feel like it's definitely in the basket of inspirations for my game. I played it before I started mine, and even the art style was inspiring to a degree in that I really like any kind of art style that makes a lot of use of negative space and a lot of stylized shadows. So that's if you look at my art style and you look at theirs, there is a similarity there as I'm looking
oh
at that
wow,
page.
I clocked
I
71.7 hours in this
Wow,
game.
that's a
That
lot
is a
for a
lot for me.
yeah,
I did
yeah,
a lot of replays trying to get like
real
the thing I want,
yeah,
trying to get the endings I want, and that was just for the noble route. I
yeah.
did really good at in the religious route. I did very, very good. I got almost everything I wanted. I was pretty satisfied with how that ended.
I felt like
I even got the romance option, I think.
oh, that's nice. When I was playing it, I felt like I was very cornered by my sort of loyalty to family and friends. So I felt like there was things I wanted to do that I was constantly not able to do because I wanted to be loyal to my friend or
Oh
loyal to my
yeah.
family and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's the
there's
big
definitely
chat.
there's a lot of like choices. You don't get to do everything you want to do in the game, which I think is really good. I think
Yeah.
it's important for a game to make you to sort of hold things back and say
Oh
like,
yeah, your choices have consequences, like
yeah,
on the family and on your like your role in how people view you in
yeah.
society. Like it all has consequences. You can't please everyone. You can't save everyone.
Right. Yeah. I think that's important. You can't betray people and also have a loyal following. You can't you can't be you can't steal from people and also be, the savior or whatever.
Yeah,
You have to kind of choose. That's good.
yeah. So like I do like that the game allows you to see the consequences of your choice before you pick them, but like there is actually a mode that turns that off
Oh,
completely.
I kind of forgot that it did that. Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting development choice, a design choice from them to tell you what is going to happen before you take it. But I think that speaks to how well they made that. In that even though the game is sort of small in scope and sort of on rails, it's so precisely written and laid out that they can tell you exactly what's going to happen, and it's still a challenge for you to get to the end goal you want because it's very crafty the way they've created it. They put a lot of time into creating that narrative so that
Yeah.
you kind of get you have hard choices. There's just no avoiding them. There's no easy way to just to coast through. So
Yeah, so I absolutely love this game. We're definitely going to be playing it at some point for the channel, and yeah, that's why like I'm pretty excited for your game as well because it reminds me a lot of it.
thanks.
All right, so I think with that way, I think we're going to just be talking about some of the big I don't know some of the things that have been happening in the gaming sphere. So
Okay.
the two things people are really talking about are the mouthwash drama and the Indiana Jones.
Okay. So let's start with Indiana Jones because I know a teeny little bit about that. Um, and in that isn't the big thing with Indiana Jones the fact that it's just there's nothing there. The fact that nobody's talking about it and it's
Oh
this huge
yes,
game, and so we're like the only two people right now that are talking about it, which is in itself news. So huge
yeah,
game. Nobody's got anything
yeah.
to say
No,
about it.
no early reviews. No big hype. It's like almost zero like real marketing, just like a launch trailer, and that's basically it. I'm definitely curious. I got the game because I figured like it was going to be a big hit. I
Is it out
also
now, or did you
It's going to
pre-order?
come out
Okay.
early access tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I already have that. It's set to stream. I'm going to run it on my new PC. But
Cool.
you
So
know,
is it like an open world type game?
it's a first person like action game, which is
Okay,
bizarre for Indiana Jones. Like, normally if you like in every Indiana Jones game, you want to like see your face and stuff. And
sure.
this one is,
So it's sort of like a Tomb Raider style or something like that.
yeah, I think it's like Tomb Raider. It's supposed to be kind of like Tomb Raider, like on
Okay,
rails,
gotcha.
I guess, like kind of like one of those like cinematic games with lots
Right.
of cutscenes.
Okay.
So,
That could be really good or it could be really bad because if it's made by the wrong people with the wrong things in mind, those cutscenes are going to be
well, I mean,
brutal.
it's made by the developers that like killed Wolfenstein. So,
Uh, well, I have not played the last couple of Wolfensteins. I'm a few behind, so I didn't know that
well,
they had ruined that yet.
well, no, they just overly politicized it by
Oh,
like
right.
injecting like
Modern politics.
they added a bunch of Trump memes into the
Oh boy.
marketing.
Okay.
Like invoking a certain like rally in 2017. If you
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, like they exploited that to
I
like to really like gin up.
yeah. I
Yeah,
hate that.
and I thought it was in poor taste. I mean, because you don't need that to sell Wolfenstein. Like, you always killed Nazis in Wolfenstein.
Well, also, like you're taking a historical time that is pretty much the pinnacle of drama, and you're going like, okay, so we have the actual Holocaust, we have the actual Nazis, we have actually Hitler, all his crazy experiments and stuff. Like, there's a lot of real stuff that you don't have to add to. That's probably one of the most dramatic times in history, and then you're gonna go, oh well, let's punch it up with some modern political bullshit. That's not a good design decision in my opinion.
Yeah, so I don't know. So I'm expecting modern political bullshit, and with the review embargo, I do think I'll probably get some good coverage depending how far we get. So
Yeah,
I am kind of excited to see like what
I'll
happens. And it,
I'm excited because I will watch it and see because I loved Indiana Jones growing up. It's one of my favorite IPs. So if they didn't manage to ruin this somehow, then I would definitely be excited to play it.
yeah, I mean, the best case scenario is it's actually a good game. Like I've seen every Indiana Jones movie but the last one.
I saw the last one too, but it was. I don't think the last one was as bad as people said. It wasn't good, but it wasn't quite as bad as a lot of people said. It was just a little.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was just okay, and
yeah, it was
sometimes
just
that can
okay.
be a little bit worse than being
Yeah,
bad.
it's a shame because it's not that it was so horrible. It's that they had so much good stuff to work with, and they just dropped the ball.
Yeah, like what really pissed me off is that I heard this spoiler about what happened to Mutt, and I like, oh, what you kill Indiana just because people didn't like Crystal Skull doesn't mean you kill Indiana Jones's son.
Right? Yeah, I to be
I,
honest, I watched that movie in the theater with my family, but I feel like I've blocked most of it out of my memory. It was I guess it was bad enough that I was like, all right, that never happened. So I don't remember that part of it. Um,
okay,
but as far as like just watching it from like moment to moment action, it was okay. But that's not I remember the old Indiana Jones. You would get quite engrossed in the actual plot and what was happening and things like that. You would feel like there was big stakes. And the last couple of Indiana Jones movies were just sort of like cheap minute to minute action. They sort of felt like really cheesy versions of Mission Impossible or something. Like it's just action scenes, and you don't really care about anything. So it was definitely they just don't make them like they used to. That's for sure.
yeah.
In anything really, games, music, movies, nothing compares to the classics. And it seems like these days.
Yeah, I was born in the early 90s, so like I got to see like, all this cool stuff growing up, like with cartoons and
Yeah,
shows and games. And like I don't know, I just like I feel bad for like, especially kids who don't have all the cool stuff like,
right.
we all had.
Yeah, I mean, I made a post on X a couple of days ago about this sort of off subject, but about the price of Legos because I was looking on Amazon on Black Friday and I saw this Lego thing come up and it was like $500, $500 for one little Star Wars, probably a big one, but one Star Wars ship made of Legos was $500, and I was thinking, who's buying that for their kids? Nobody. People are. I mean, there might be a couple of people out there who spend $500 on a set of Legos for the kids, but that's going to be some adults spending their own money because they're collecting them,
Exactly.
and that's fine. But the people who are collecting that at that price as an adult are only doing that because they got exposed to it as kids and they got to love it as a kid. And so Lego has priced themselves and done this for adults now. It's an adult company. It's not a kids company anymore, really. And so what's going to happen in the next generation? That the people who are kids now are not playing with Legos. They're playing with Fortnite and Roblox or whatever. And so Lego as a company is shooting itself in the foot because those kids are not going to grow up to want to spend $500 to collect Legos,
Well,
and
isn't
the
that
kids
why
don't get to
they made
experience it either.
isn't that why they added the Lego mode to Fortnite? Probably.
Probably, yeah, yeah. But it's just a shame because I grew up playing with just, I had a giant rubber tote full of just mismatched Legos that were from every different thing that was bought in yard sales or whatever. And you could go and just sit and play for hours and build whatever you wanted. And I saved it for my son. And when, my son's 17 now. And so when he was young, I gave him my giant rubber tote full of Legos.
Yeah, I remember like even as an adult, like during COVID, me and my dad we built this little Star Wars resistance drop ship thing. Oh no, it
Nice.
was the first order drop ship. But
Okay.
it had like, so yeah, it was from the new movies, but it was really fun. So
Yeah.
we did that while we were all locked in.
Yeah. And that's just, I mean, you were very lucky to do that. Most kids and even young adults and stuff just don't have that experience anymore. It's just one more thing, it's like a meme at this point, right? All the different things that we had growing up in the 80s and 90s, from, safe streets and riding on your bikes and whatever, to Legos, to classic movies that it's just it's a different world now.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but I mean, we make the best of it. Everybody makes the
Yep.
best of it they can.
It's all you
um,
can do.
the good news is, of course, is that there is a lot more of everything now. So, if you choose it, you can still find good stuff, but there's a lot more junk too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to do, like with my channel when I started, because, like, I watched like a bunch of other channels that would only focus on the crap, and
Right.
like and here on my channel, I like if I find something good that I'm really excited about, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it gets the negativity gets the views and stuff sometimes. It's like a
Yeah,
cheap, quick way, but
yeah. I as a YouTuber, I know like yeah, like negative content it gets more views than positive content.
yeah, you should do a video where it's like, the worst game ever, and you talk about it for 30 seconds, and you go, and then here's 10 good games that are really good after it. Just be like,
Ah,
like
a
negativity
pain
clickbait.
switch.
Yes. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't do that too. uh, uh,
what other games are you looking forward to playing? You've got the new Indiana Jones on your list. What else is coming up?
oh, well, let's see. There's a JRPG that looks pretty cool. I have to go back to some games that I had been playing for the channel. Um,
Right.
I got to get back to Visions of Mana. So like a lot of these like Japanese like
Okay.
games, but
How
I
bad is
did.
your back? How bad is your gaming backlog?
Oh my god, it's so much. The it's yeah, I've got so much shit to play.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if you're busy, and that's the thing, we complain about there not being good stuff, but at the same time, there's way more good stuff than I have time to actually get into.
Well,
So,
I've been collecting retro. I've been collecting older games. I have like a bunch of consoles like hooked up. I got a Wii. and a PlayStation 2, and they're both backwards compatible.
Nice.
Yeah, and so like I got an Xbox One, I got the PS5. Like, we're good as far as like, things to like, for content.
Yeah. That's cool. I've got some games on my backlog that I'm looking forward to playing that um to me they're still new games, but they're probably old to everybody else. But I got Remnant 2, which I'm looking forward to trying out because I played the first Remnant a few years ago and it was really good. So I don't know if you're familiar with that game. It's sort of an on
I think
rails
I
but
think
it's a
I've heard of
shooter.
it.
Yeah, it's like you're shooting monsters and stuff like that and bosses, but you have um
Oh yeah, I own it actually. Yeah,
okay.
so yeah, it's very co-op focused, so I didn't
Yeah.
get far.
Okay. I struggled through solo for most of it when I played it the first time. I had to abandon it at the end because I couldn't beat the final boss and time was limited. But and then there's this indie game that is pretty old now. It's so old. I do this a lot of times. I won't even start playing the first game until a creator has created the second game because I'm just so so slow to get to these things. But there's a little indie game called Mortal Glory, which is like it's like a little rogue RPG thing where you like recruit a bunch of arena fighters and stuff, and you just kind of try to go through this like little arena cycle or whatever. But it looked really cool. I picked it up, so I've kind of got my little list of games to play, but they're all old. So
Yeah, I got yeah, one game I do want to like get back to. It came out last year. I want to play Unicorn Overlord, and but
I've
I
never
also
heard of
need.
that.
Oh yeah, it's a strategy RPG, like
Okay.
Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics.
Okay.
Oh, which I also have to play because I actually got a Black Label copy of it at Comic-Con this year.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about that game.
I've never. These are all new to me. I'm writing down a few of them. So you said that what was it? Visions of Mana
Visions of
and
Mana,
and
Unicorn
Unicorn.
Overlord, and Final Fantasy Tactics.
I've heard of that one. So, but
Yeah,
yeah. More stuff to add to my never-ending game
back.
backlog.
Yeah, yeah, I know the backlog. It only gets bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, welcome.
All right.
Yeah. So now that we talked a little bit about Indiana Jones, what do you make out about this whole thing with the mouth washing with the dev like saying he doesn't want certain people playing his game?
So I saw just a little bit of that. It's been a busy week for me, so I haven't been as engrossed in the social media stuff as I usually am. But excuse me, hold on. I had a little cough there.
That's all right.
So yeah, I think is that the guy who is his role in the company is the sound director or
Yeah,
composer?
he's the sound
Yeah.
designer, but he is also co-founder.
Yeah, so I had an initial take, and then I learned that he was the co-founder, and then I had a whole new take. So my initial take was like, you're a small cog in a very big machine. You should you like the hubris of trying to say like who should and shouldn't play a game that other people are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into. And I still stand by that, even if he's the creator. Like, I'm I wouldn't I would not have that view and that attitude as a total solo dev. I'm the only guy in my office working on this game, and I still wouldn't be like, I don't want you to play my game. I would be like, hey, if you still want to, if you see things in my game that you like enough that you want to play it in spite of our political differences, that is a huge compliment. Thank you so much. I wouldn't be like, screw you, don't play my game. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
but
then to have like a whole group of people where you've got perhaps a dozen people or something like that working on a game, and one of them says on behalf of everybody, you know the work product of all these people is not, we don't want you to enjoy it. We don't want
yeah,
that
I
is
think he's
severely
doing a
arrogant
great
and ridiculous.
disservice to the entire team, and it's
Yeah.
like a great disservice to the game itself because
Yes.
Asmongold has millions of subscribers and
Oh yeah.
followers on Twitch. he's not even like he's saying he's like homophobic, but like
Yeah.
that's not true. I know for a fact Asmongold isn't homophobic. And
Yeah,
like
but
anyone who looks anything into Asmongold knows he's not homophobic. Like,
right.
and they're like, he's
Yeah.
just saying just because he's not woke means he's like, that's him projecting that onto.
Well, definitions have changed where if you're not an advocate for something that means you are against it and intolerant of it. And that's that's not fair. That's
Yeah,
not realistic, but that's the way they act.
yeah,
Um,
that is like
but
how like they try to move things, but things
yeah,
are changing like
yeah.
rapidly. That's no longer going to be like,
No, it doesn't work.
like new, like there is such thing as having a nuanced opinion. You don't have
Yeah.
to like, oh, like, yeah. Like, like I have tons of friends who like tons like different like sexualities and stuff. And it's like, like they're all chill. Like,
Yeah.
it's like these people like it's like people are just tired of these fucking zealots of
Well,
my French.
no, yeah, you're right. And the thing is, it's like I think part of the reason that you're seeing this pushback is because it's that slippery slope thing, right? And so every time that somebody says like, okay, well, this is all that to be a good person that is willing to sort of embrace lifestyles and views and whatever that are antithetical to yours, but you think that they should be able to exist, you need to be okay with this. And you go, okay, I'm okay with that. And they go, and now this, and it keeps going to where eventually people have said like, okay, well, um it's time to sort of reevaluate what it means to be a good
Well,
person. You don't have to be an advocate or an ally or
yeah, you
whatever.
don't
It's
have
an
to agree with like
no.
everything. And that's kind of like, the whole thing with like progressivism is that they want people to agree with everything. And
Right.
that's not how people are. That's people have mixed opinions on
Right.
a bunch of different subjects,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know.
and a lot of the what I would call the more extreme gender types, gender sexuality stuff, I I am not interested in it. Like it doesn't. I'm not offended. I view it from a distance as sort of like a curiosity, or like just an. I view it like when somebody says that they are, of a particular gender, or let's say jumping between genders, gender fluid, whatever different things
Well,
they have going
that's
on.
a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, but anything like that. I'm just coming up with something exact. I look at that the way I look at modern art that I don't understand. So like you give me a painting full of just random colors and stuff like that, and somebody says, "Hey, this is beautiful modern art that's worth $1 million." I don't get mad at it. I don't want it to go away. I just go, okay, I don't get that, but all right, that's fine. But you can't do that anymore. Now you have to agree. You have to say, oh yes, that is beautiful modern art. It is worth $1 million. I do want to hang it on my wall. And a lot of people, and me included, aren't willing to do that.
Well, yeah, like, I'm all willing to like respect people, like if they're
Yeah,
going to respect me. I
right,
believe in mutual respect, and like, a bunch of people don't, like, they just want compliance.
right. And then that comes to the other thing where in order to get compliance, because the goal is to have everybody agree, not just to accept, they start trying to subvert things that aren't reflecting of that, and that's where we start sort of getting more argumentative, I think, on the right, or on like
The
as
center right.
creators, let's say, in that
Yeah.
we don't want to see our existing IP that we love, subverted to match the things, because
Well, that's why the DEI is so bad. It
yes,
doesn't respect the past. It
right,
doesn't respect branding.
yeah,
Like they try to force like things in places where it might not be appropriate. Like if
right,
it's an all ages franchise and you want to add like,
exactly.
yeah,
Let's
like,
I mean, let's say you've got a 10-year-old kid and he loves to collect a certain character, and he's got all this stuff, and you buy all of them for him all the time because that's what he loves. But then all of a sudden the IP changes, and now it's got all this other modern sort of social, political, agenda driven stuff, messaging that's now blended in with that character. And now you've got to either you've got to effectively embrace that and put it in your kid's room, or you've got to say, well, I guess we're not collecting this anymore. And of course, it's their right; they own the IP, but it's going to they're going to get a negative pushback from that, because they're not respecting they're not respecting the original creator of the IP or the fans at that point. So then you
Yeah.
just need to go make something new.
Yeah, like this whole the whole Pando Lando thing was ridiculous. Like, Lando was only ever like shown flirting with women. That's and so that was like complete nonsense, and it was very disrespectful to both George Lucas and I guess the
Well,
original actor Billy D. Williams.
disrespectful to George Lucas pretty much sums up the last 10 years of Star Wars.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's all they do is just disrespect everything. Like, ugh, makes me so mad. Star Wars used to be like my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, and they do it at the expense of their own profit too, which is
They
back to that
devalued.
back to that mouthwash guy or whatever. I don't know his
Yeah,
name. You called him mouthwash. I
yeah.
don't, is that
Matt. I think his name's Matt.
okay? But yeah, I mean, financial suicide. Imagine Asmongold playing your game for free, and the monetary value of that, and you going, no, don't do that, don't talk about my game, don't give me free marketing. Like how brainwashed do you have to be, and how devoted to the cause of progressivism do you have to be, that you're going to just sabotage your own business for to discourage him giving you free marketing, when he's he's probably center, maybe even center right,
He's pretty
but
center, I think.
but
Like,
he's definitely not, he's definitely not what would have been called right wing 10 years ago. He's not a Trump guy. He's not anything.
oh
I
no,
think
no, of course.
he's too aloof to be a Trump guy or anything like that. He's not really
Well,
political.
he just seems like very centrist. I heard him like talking.
Yeah.
I don't agree with everything he says, but he seems like, he just seems like he's just like, like the thing is he's not like, no, he's very practical in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think he's practical. I think he has nuanced takes on a lot of things, even when I don't agree with them. But I also think part of the reason he has that view, that sort of center, calm view, is because he doesn't really care. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I think he wants to play games. I think he wants to play games and nerd out on different things. I don't
Oh
think he
yeah.
sits around thinking, oh, what kind of political points can I make today? What kind of political things are in the news that I can read about and get upset about? I think he only sort of talks and thinks about politics when it's forced into his world, which
Which
you
is
know,
like, they force it like
yeah, which they
yeah,
do
and
now. They do it more and more every day. Yeah,
but yeah, but that's like always like my like leeway to like, I don't like, if like, so long as like nothing like has like political stuff in it, like you can't really talk. But if you're gonna bring it in there, you open the door to discuss. Like me, like, I had this big no Trump or no government talk on the channel.
uh,
I did break a lot of that on Twitter during the election, but I'm
right.
like trying to veer back
Yeah,
to like, just gaming.
yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, and sometimes no matter how much you want to avoid it, they intersect. So like that senator that was like going after Steam,
Oh
right?
yeah, I did. I
Like
covered that.
how can you possibly be like, if you're covering gaming, you can hate politics, but now you're covering politics because they have intersected in a very big way.
Oh, he threatened. He was trying to extort Steam,
Yeah.
and he that really, in a very like a very blatant way. And I don't. I hope Gabe told him to screw off.
I hope he did too. I think he would. He seems like I don't know him. I've never talked to him. I don't know if I've ever even seen more than one interview with him, but I get the impression that would be his reaction.
Well, he's got the money
Yeah, he
to do
does.
that, like, and the time, because like, the Congress, Congress changes in like
Right.
a month.
Yeah. And the guy, that senator that was involved in that, I don't know too much about it, but I saw a lot of things. I think he sort of
He's
it's like,
shady.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, you got to be careful. I mean, just joking around a little bit, but you know, when you piss off the autists, you know, and the weaponized autism and stuff, you know, he. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know if he wanted a light shined back on his insider trading and stuff like that. People started going, "Oh, you want to look at us? Well, we're going to look at you now, Senator." And I think
Oh yeah,
he
I
got
was looking
quiet
into
really
him.
quickly after that. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's been like very shady. He's in with a lot of the intelligence stuff. So like
Yeah.
he is very dirty.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, very dirty. But I know that's kind of old news now, but it reminded me of that when I'm thinking about trying to, you know, navigate politics and just focus on games. It's not easy
Yeah.
these days.
All right. So you said I had you for 40 minutes, or
Yeah, pretty much. I have what, we've been about 45 minutes now, huh?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got me for a few extra minutes.
Oh, nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got to go here pretty soon. But if you have anything else you want to discuss or whatever, you've got a
I
couple more
think that's
minutes.
pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Thank you so
Okay.
much. You are the first game developer to come on my channel, and
You're the
I appreciate that.
Hey, you're the first channel to invite me on, so you know, I appreciate that very much, and I had a good time. Hopefully, we'll do it again one day.
All right. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely. We'll also be keeping an eye out on updates on your game.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all for watching, everyone. I'm Dash Attack with Dark Roads Gaming, and I'll see you next time.